It's alive. It's alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Hey guys! Today I'm going to review Frankenstein, the 1931 version. It's based on the Mary Shelley novel Frankenstein from 1818, but it's also mostly based on a stage play from 1927, which was slightly different to the book. It runs 71 minutes, so it's nice and short. It only cost $262,000, but it made a staggering $12 million, and it spawned many sequels and remakes. And it was directed by James Whale, who also directed The Bride of Frankenstein, which is a masterpiece. It stars Boris Karloff as the monster, Colin Clive as Henry Frankenstein, Mae Clarke as Elizabeth, Edward Van Sloan as Dr. Waldman, Frederick Kerr as the Old Baron, Dwight Frye as Fritz, and John Boles as Victor. This wasn't the first Frankenstein film. There was a 1910 version, a silent film, only on a few minutes, and that's an interesting one to watch. I watched it on this box set, the 1931 version of Frankenstein. It's got all the Universal films in, all 30 on Blu-ray. Brilliant box set. You might remember I showed you this box set a long time ago when I reviewed Dracula. The very first film I reviewed was the 1931 version of Dracula. Done a load of reviews since then.
Hey Phil, let's have a look at the film review of Dracula.
Oh no, I don't want to say it, it's that bad. So long ago. But when it came to the second film, we always fell asleep. So that night I missed Frankenstein, but I did get to see the 31 Dracula.
Ha ha ha! You look soft as bloody shit, Phil.
What I like about the version on the Blu-ray is the picture quality's perfect. Like usually this is kind of a bit blurred because of the age of the film, but watching it on Blu-ray it's crystal clear. The detail, you can really see on the actors that the detail and the makeup, excellent. And it's also uncut, so you get all the cut scenes. You get the drowning scene where the monster throws a little girl into the lake. So all those scenes are in this film. And Karloff's excellent as the monster. He's kind of treating the role as though the monster's just been born. So it makes sense. It's like he's just got life into the monster. So he will be childlike. So he plays the monster sort of childlike. So it's lots of... that kind of acting. And so really impressive considering he's got all this makeup on. You can see lots of character in the monster, and you also feel sorry for him as well. I also think Karloff looks more kind of scarier in this film because he looks thinner and younger playing the monster. He looks kind of scarier somehow. He doesn't look as scary in the later films. Because of the Blu-ray being so clear, the makeup by Jack Pierce looks excellent. I especially was impressed with Karloff's hand, like the scar around his right hand. It looked really impressive. You can see it on Blu-ray, and the actual scar around his hand, it looks like he's got a different hand to the upper arm. So I thought that was really good, that makeup on his, like, the wrist area. The prologue's really weird. Before the film starts, actor Edward Van Sloan comes out and gives an introduction before the film starts. He's basically, in other words, he's saying this film's going to be scary as hell. I thought that was a really bizarre beginning, coming out from under a curtain. A bit like a stage play to start with.
You fancy getting the bloody fella to come out and seeing the bloody film's going to scare the shit out of you? Bloody daft bugger. Soft as shit.
It would be a little unkind to present this picture without just a word of friendly warning.
I love the scene where you first properly see the monster. He's walking backwards through a doorway, and then he turns around and you get quick close-ups to his face. Looks really scary, and in 1931 that must have scared the shit out of folk. Like, they wouldn't have been kind of expecting proper horror. There is a bit of hammy acting from Colin, Clive. He's a bit hammy. The character of Fritz, he's a bit hammy as well. But apart from them two, acting from the rest of the cast's pretty spot on. I especially like the character of the old Baron. He's expecting Henry of having an affair behind his wife's back. And there's a brilliant line when he says, I wonder what sort of experiments he's up to. And he goes to the castle to sort it out. So I thought he was really funny, thinking there's a woman. He's going with a woman, that's why he's locking himself away in the castle.
Hey, that bloody old Baron knew what was what. He knew what bloody experiments were going off behind his wife's back.
This time around I was surprised by how expensive and epic this film looks. I thought with it being like the first one it would be a bit cheap looking, but it isn't really. It's not up to the standards of Bride of Frankenstein, but it's still a pretty impressive looking film. There's some brilliant big sets, and I especially like the lab and the castle. And there's also a lot of good location filming as well. It has brilliant moody lighting as well. These old black and white films that had a really good technique with lighting. It must be the black and white photography, but you get really moody, dark spots and bright lights. Really clever technicians that managed to light these films. Really well done. The film doesn't have music during the film, just during the titles. Sometimes that works as an advantage. It gives it a really eerie feel to it, and you don't have music blasting. With this film it actually worked, not having like music. So this film spawned many sequels. You got The Bride of Frankenstein, you got The Son of Frankenstein, The Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and if you want you can even count Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. I'll hope to review all of them one day. I remember years ago in the 70s when they had horror double bills. There was a series called Dracula, Frankenstein and Friends. And this was paired off with the 1931 version of Dracula. I always remember on a Saturday night the BBC showed Dracula, and then later on Frankenstein. And as a kid I watched all of Dracula, and I watched sort of like about half of Frankenstein, and then I got tired and went to bed. But I was really excited that, like, waiting for these two films to come out years and years ago. I'll do a series on these horror double bills season by season. Yeah! I used to prefer Dracula to this film, but now after recently watching it, they're very close. I think I'd still prefer the 31 version of Dracula slightly better, but they're almost like a draw now. They're two brilliant films. There's a lot of standout moments in this film. The monster slowly comes to life and you see his hand moving, and Henry's going on shouting about God. That got cut as well, that scene. That's a really impressive scene. Also featuring the monster's hand, the doctor, played by Edward Van Sloan, is going to dissect the monster. You see the monster's hand again coming to life, and it slowly turns around and strangles them. That's a really creepy moment, that, for a film here in 1931. The ending's excellent, where the windmill's on fire, the monster's trapped in the windmill, and you feel sorry for him, and he's having a panic attack, like that. But really well shot, and it's clever how the model works really good as well. Apart from the humour of the character of the old Baron going on about women and stuff, this film's actually pretty deadly serious. It's a heck of a lot more serious than The Bride of Frankenstein, so I was surprised by that. I thought there'd be like more humour and silliness in it, but it isn't. It's treated deadly seriously. Even the character of Elizabeth, she's better in this film than she is in played by a different actress in The Bride of Frankenstein. I think in The Bride of Frankenstein, the character of Elizabeth's a little bit wooden. But in this one, she's really good. There's even a scene where the monster breaks into her room. She's about to get married, almost insinuating that like the monster's going to rape her. He breaks into her room and he's about to grab her. Look at it as though he's going to do something to her, not just kill her. I think the films that they made in the 1930s, Universal made better films in the 30s than they did in the 40s. This is a brilliant example. So overall, this is like a proper classic. When you say a film's a classic, the word's overused, but in this case it is a classic. And overall I'd give it 9. 9 out of 10. Almost gets a 10. But I don't think God's really like it.
Excellent film, Phil. Top marks.
Okay everybody, bye! Like and subscribe and share. See you next time. Bye.
Here's to a son, to the house of Frankenstein.
Indeed, sir. We hope so, sir.